In today's episode, we're going to talk about step family coaching, what it is, what it's not, and how to know if it's for you.
I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this.
Welcome. Before we get started on the meat of today's episode, I wanted to let you know that I am actually taking next month completely off of the podcast. So we're going to put it on pause for a little bit. I have a really fun interview scheduled next week with Naja Hall, which I think y'all will really enjoy. But then after that, I'm going to put the mic down for a minute. I am taking in the beginning of October a much needed trip that may or may not coincide with a big birthday that I have coming up. I won't say which one it is, but if you follow me on Instagram or TikTok, you can probably figure it out. And if you want to stay updated on our trip, I am sure I will post some photos along the way. So you can just follow me on Instagram or TikTok for that. I'm just at Step Family Solutions. And I don't know where you are, but right now, where we are, the air is starting to feel like fall. It is cool in the mornings. Football's back, although my Gamecocks have not done as well as I would have liked for them to do so far this season. It's still my favorite time of year. Chili on the stove, football on the TV, pumpkins and cinnamon and Halloween. I love, 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 love it. I have talked in recent episodes about how fall can feel like a fresh start. So thought it might be a good time to talk a bit about step family coaching, what it is, how it can help you, and how to find a good coach, because that can be tricky too. And if you're interested in paying it forward ever or becoming a coach, or if you're even just a little coach curious, I will also let you know that the doors are open this very week to the Step Family Coach Academy. If you follow me on social, you may have already seen that, but I'll talk more about that a little later on. So I want to start by telling you that I was definitely a coach skeptic for a very long time. To be clear, I was also a latecomer to therapy. My parents had a very high conflict divorce the summer before I turned 9. And let's be honest, talking to a therapist was just not an option back then. It was the 80s, right? And divorce had enough of a stigma in our part of the South. Forget about adding therapy to the mix. Like, it just wasn't going to happen. My parents instead took me for a conversation with our priest. Yes, one conversation, I think. And on we went. I was expected to adjust to a new stepmom, seeing dad a couple of times a month and going between 2 houses, and coexisting with parents who both talked trash about each other to me and pretty much screamed through every custody exchange. I think we all would have benefited from some therapy in retrospect, right? It wasn't really until my mid 30s that I found my way to therapy to deal with the impact that my parents' divorce had made on my adult relationships. And honestly, it transformed my life. Of course, even as recent as that, I'm not sure I had really heard much about coaching. I actually don't remember the first time that I heard the term life coach, but I don't think it was until sometime in probably the last 10 or 15 years. I am pretty sure that I probably rolled my eyes when I heard the term and thought, all right, what kind of quackery is this? And you're probably thinking to yourself, but Cameron, you're a coach. Yeah, I am. Clearly, my opinion has evolved because I sure am a step family coach, because I've seen the immense good that coaching can do. And that being said, there are some drawbacks too that you should be aware of. So I want to talk to you about both of them. But before we get into all that, let's talk a little bit about where coaching got its origins. And I'm not going to give you like a huge long history lesson, but some of this stuff is actually pretty interesting. In its current form, it hasn't been around that long, but the thinking and the principles that are central to coaching are ancient. Coaching can actually be traced back to ancient Greece and Rome, where the concept of mentorship was very highly valued. Socrates and Plato both emphasized the importance of virtue, self examination, and the pursuit of knowledge. They mentored their students, they helped them develop their potential. They used dialogue and questioning to help the individuals, help their students clarify their thinking and achieve their goals. Ever heard of the Socratic method? Yes, it still makes my skin crawl from law school, but that's essentially, I mean, that's what coaches do, right? Those principles have been around for a really long time. And a quick also digression on the word coaching, mainly because I love learning how language has evolved. It's the English major in me, so apologies, but I just wanted to share with you because I did some research before this episode, and it's all very interesting. So the word coaching originated in the 16th century and initially referred to a method of transportation, right? Back then, it was a horse-drawn carriage. And it actually derived from the Hungarian word. Now, if you're Hungarian and can pronounce this correctly, I'm just going to apologize in advance because I have a horrible pronunciation of foreign languages. So it's the Hungarian word that's spelled Kocsi, kochi, which meant a carriage from the village of Koks, known for producing high quality carriages. Okay, I know I slaughtered that word, but the spelling kind of gets at an early version of coach, if you know what I mean. So, anyway, I thought that was a very cool little fact. Who knew, right? Over time, the term coaching transitioned from meaning literally transportation to more metaphorically representing the process of guiding and supporting individuals in their development. And the first term being used that way, coach, in connection with a trainer or instructor, actually came up around 1830 in Oxford University. It was actually used as slang for a tutor, kind of referring to the tutor as, quote, carrying a student through an exam, right? Hence, coach, moving people from where they are to where they want to be. And that's actually a great way to look at what coaches do, right? Also, let's also, recognize we all know the term coaches as being used in the sports world, and it was used in relation to sports as far back as 1861. But fast forwarding a bit, it really wasn't until the 20th century or the 1900s, as our kids would say. And boy, they have a way of making us feel old, don't they? Maybe it's because I'm coming up on a big birthday, but can I hear it for those born in the 1900s? Anyway, it was the 20th century that really saw coaching evolve into more of a formal profession. The term coaching was first used in education in the 20s to talk about a process of providing guidance and support to students. Training programs and institutions started offering certifications and giving individuals the skills and the knowledge that they needed to support others in their journey. In the early part of the 20th century, Dale Carnegie, you've probably heard of him, he started offering courses on personal and professional development, like public speaking and leadership and interpersonal skills. You have probably heard of his best-selling book that is still around, How to Win Friends and Influence People. He was the pioneer of the training industry. And in the 50s, coaching became more and more associated with personal and professional development. And the Silva method in the 60s got into self hypnosis, meditation, lots of woo woo, which it was the 60s, right? To improve problem solving skills. But the real turning point for coaching was actually in the 70s with Timothy Galloway's book, The Inner Game of Tennis. He introduced the concept of focusing on inner dialogue and mental work for peak performance. Yes, I know, stay with me. It's tennis, but stay with me because his focus was on overcoming mental barriers and becoming more self-aware. And those are critical pieces of coaching today. So then by the time we get to the 80s, we had high profile folks like, Tony Robbins seminars and folks like that talking about personal development through unleashing your potential, peak performance, all those buzzwords. But the industry really exploded after financial planner Thomas Leonard realized that his clients wanted more support than just financial. They wanted help organizing their lives. And so he pivoted to develop what he called life planning, which was actually the origin of life coaching. He started to train others, and he built the first formal coach training program in the country, Coach University, in 1992. So from there, it started to become more widely accepted in the business world. And you started to see a lot more like professional, performance coaches in the 90s. And it kept going from there. And today, there are coaches for pretty much everything you can think of: sports, education, business and career, life coaches, divorce coaches, co-parenting coaches, and of course, step family coaches. And somewhere along the way, thank goodness, all of this coaching got a little less broy and more women started getting trained. Speaking of training, I'm going to go through what you need to look for in a coach, but I'm going to do that through the lens of training for a very specific reason. But first, let's talk quickly about the differences between a coach and a therapist, because I want to be very clear about this, that you don't necessarily have to choose. A lot of people will ask me the difference between the two. Um, but they can coexist really nicely together. So we've talked a little bit about how coaching came about and that it's largely to help you overcome mindset issues to accomplish a goal or move through an obstacle. It's a lot of like dealing with the present and the future, right? It's coaching helps clients move from the present to the future with strategies and goals that are more tactical, right? Therapy is more focused on addressing a mental health condition, understanding how you got to where you are, and then addressing that. A coach cannot and should not ever diagnose a mental health disorder. But a coach who thinks that they have spotted that their client might be struggling with a mental health issue, they should refer that person to a mental health therapist. Therapists and psychotherapists have higher levels of professional education, like a master's or a doctorate degree. Some of them are licensed clinical social workers or licensed professional counselors. All the training programs are different depending on their specialty, but overall, being a therapist requires a higher credential. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, of course, I'll go with a therapist because they've got more schooling. There's a great place for therapy and coaching to work together. And there are places where coaching works for you better than therapy does, and vice versa. And in situations, especially where you're trying to navigate a difficult circumstance when there's not an underlying mental health condition, coaching may be more appropriate. So let's talk about what to look for. One of the things that you should know about coaching, and this is any kind of coaching, not just step family, and this is not a reason not to do it. It's just something to be aware of. And I'm calling it a downside, but I don't want to, I don't know, it's probably not the right word, but it's the only one I could think of. So it makes it sound like I'm saying you shouldn't engage in it because of this, but that's not what I'm saying at all. Here's the thing though, coaching is incredibly unregulated. There are organizations that offer formal training programs and certifications like the International Coach Federation for Life Coaches. But essentially, anyone can set up a website and call themselves a coach. And even the organizations that provide training are unregulated. So, with all of that, how do you know you're getting a good coach who's going to use a research and evidence-based approach with you? Well, the short answer is you don't, right? There's a longer answer, though, that's a little more nuanced than that. So, the longer answer is you need to do your homework before you hire a coach, the same way you do if you were hiring a therapist, right? If you're thinking about working with a coach, find out what their qualifications are. I don't think that there's a one size fits all approach for coach qualifications. There are some amazing coaches out there who have essentially gotten out there and trained themselves, but it is a data point, right? So find out what certifications they have, what their background is. If they have a certification, is it a rigorous one? Is it research based? You don't have to go down the rabbit hole in researching it all, but some quick online searches will give you some answers. So you're going to look at their qualifications. You also want to get a feel for whether their personality is going to be a good fit with you. Check out their website. Look at their social media. See if it's someone you can imagine giving you advice. If they offer free classes or webinars, which a lot of us do, take one and see if you like their style. Set up a consultation if you're looking to hire someone. Most coaches will do a free consultation just to talk to you and see if you're a good fit. If you don't see that on their website, reach out and ask them. It can't hurt. It's an important enough investment. You should feel comfortable with who you're working with. And trust me, coaches want to be sure that you're a good fit for them too. A good coach will be very upfront if they don't think they can help you, or if they don't think that they're the right person to help you, or if they need to refer out. I know I have told people that it's not the right fit, either because whatever it was wasn't in my specialty, or because I thought they needed mental health counseling before they came to coaching. It's okay to take a minute to make your decision also. If you get on a consultation call and any coach is pressuring you to hire them, you might think twice. Good coaches want it to be a fit for both of you. So I hope that helps with some tips in finding a good coach. I do have a coach directory that will help you locate some coaches that I've trained, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But it's important to really do your research and really make sure that whoever you're going to hire is going to be a fit for both of you, because coaching can be really transformational. But if you end up with the wrong coach, um, and you don't have that kind of personality fit, or, qualifications fit, it can be difficult. So, all right, we've gone through the history of coaching, my little history lesson, the difference between coaching and therapy, and how to find the right coach. If you follow me on social or get my weekly emails, you know how I got involved in coaching. I was having a hella hard time in my step family and was looking all over for answers, and I was coming up completely empty. There were pretty much no books and very few online resources at the time, and nothing that was out there really felt like it applied to me or to my situation. I stumbled on a program for step parent coach certification. It was being offered at the time by Jenna Korf, who has since become a friend, and it looked like it had all of the information I was looking for. At that point in my life, I kind of had zero interest in actually coaching. By that point, I didn't think coaches were quacks, but I definitely didn't understand why I would use one if I already had a therapist. And yes, I know we've chatted about that. I understand that now, right? But I got certified so that I could learn. I got certified so I could understand my dynamic. And oh boy, did I learn. I finally felt like I got my family. I finally felt like I knew how to cope with things. And as I went through that process, I realized that what I was learning could help so many people. So I decided to dip my toes in. And let me tell you, I have not looked back. You may already know I left my 23-year political career last year to do this full time. And honestly, there is almost nothing that makes me feel better than when a stepmom says to me, "Oh, I hadn't thought about it that way." Or, "Oh my gosh, this has changed my life. My marriage is better. My relationship with my kids are better. I would never have been able to approach my family this way." And those are all things I've heard from clients. And it is the best feeling to know that you have helped another family get through some of these circumstances that can be so challenging. So, if you've been with me for a while, you also know that in addition to coaching, I put on the Stepmom Summit, I do stepmom retreats, I have a membership for step families. But in the years that I've been coaching and developing relationships with all the step family experts and building all this up, I still felt like a lot of the information, like evidence and research based information, was kind of hard for step families to find. There are more and more stepmoms on social media, which is great. But I see and hear a lot of advice that's based more on personal experiences or instinct rather than science and evidence and research. And, some of that's okay as long as the person understands the research behind their advice. But it can be dangerous if they're giving bad advice, right? Well, the certification program that I took was no longer offered. So the training that used to happen for step family coaches was missing. So I decided to develop it. And I developed an 8-week, really substantive, research based curriculum. It's been reviewed and endorsed by some of the top experts around, like Dr. Patricia Papernow, Megan Hunter, who is CEO of the High Conflict Institute with Bill Eddy, and Jenna Korf, who I trained under at the start. Um, it's a really phenomenal program. If coaching is ever something you've thought of or been curious about, or if you just really want to go in deep on all the issues, I would encourage you to take a look at it. There really is nothing like it. One of the reasons that I set it up, and one of the reasons that I set it up the way that I did is because it was important to me not only that there be more highly trained step-family coaches out there, but that once they're certified, they have a support system where they can come back regularly and seek advice, either business or coaching, develop their own relationships with other coaches and support each other. And the coaches that I've certified so far have all unanimously agreed that this program works. In fact, one of my graduates who had been coaching for a while already said that this was the best investment she'd made in her coaching business. Another one said she could not believe the amount of information and the level of support that I provided. Anyway, you may be in a place where you really need a coach versus even contemplating becoming one, but file this away and come back later. The step family population is only growing and could really benefit from more good coaches. And I know a lot of times stepmoms will come to me and say, step family coaching has made such a difference in my life. I really want to pay it forward. So if that's you and you're curious about it, I will put a link in the show notes, but you can also find it at stepfamilysolutions.com/stepfamily-certification. And of course, the show notes will be at stepfamilysolutions.com/episode 90. That's all I've got today. Feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram or shoot me an email. Let me know if you've got any questions about looking for a coach, if you need any guidance on what to look for, anything that you didn't hear today. I'd love to hear from you. We will be back next week with Naja, and then I am off for a little bit. So follow me on Instagram and TikTok to track my vacation adventures. That's it for now. See you next week.
That's it for this week. If you've enjoyed our chat, I hope you'll help spread the word. Share this episode with friends and head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave me a review. And don't forget, for more great stepmom content, head on over to thiscustomlife.com and follow me on social media. Just search This Custom Life on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Until next time, you keep being you and know that we are in this together. See you here next week.